Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. We, however, have pre-recorded our conversation over Zoom with a station alum. Joe Woodall is on the Zoom screen with me. He is wearing his assistant chief hat today. We're going to be talking about Rivermont Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department because, Joe, I understand the end is in sight and you are nearly close to moving into the new fire station.
We are getting a lot closer than we were.
I feel like we have been talking about this for 10 years, and the truth of the matter is it's only been a little more than a year.
Construction, yeah. I mean, the conversation's been going on for between county and us for at least 10 to 15 years. So the fact that we're close to completion is huge.
So let's get in our time machine and go back to where the station is currently. Tell me about the conditions of the current station and how this new station came to be.
Well, the old one is, the original structure was built in the early 30s. I think 32 is as far back as we can find records on it. And then it was added to in the 70s. And when it was added onto, it was one of those, hey, my brother's an electrician. Hey, my cousin does framing work, so he can do it on the side type thing, which is great because I mean that's all we had back then. That's all we have now, really, without the help of the county. So things weren't done properly to last, longer than a few years. So, the back retaining wall is starting to collapse, or has been collapsing for years, and cracking and slowly moving. The county came in and braced it up to try to hold the upstairs up. The upstairs has been condemned for over 5 years now, which was our banquet hall and our big money maker. So fundraising wise, we're up against weather because everything we have to do is outside. So structurally, it's past its prime. It's a cinder block building that was originally built in the early 30s, and it's been used as a firehouse. So it's been well used. Leave it at that.
What was the catalyst to start moving forward on a new fire station? Was it the current situation with how unsafe the current building is?
That's the big thing. We had career staff supplementing the volunteers throughout the week. They were doing 12-hour shifts Monday through Friday. Once the county came in and condemned the upper floor of the building, and there's a bunch of water issues and mold and everything else, the county pulled that career staff out. So for the last 5 years, we've been 100% volunteer, which is, this day and age, is extremely hard because trying to find volunteers for anything it's hard to do. I mean, nobody wants to do it. Our community, I feel, the county as a whole, is a bedroom community. People come there to sleep. They get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, they drive down to Northern Virginia to work. They come back 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. They don't have time, to volunteer, let alone with families, and you got kids doing Little League and schools and everything else going on. So not having that supplemental help from the career staff, it's hurting us big time.
Well, and as hard as it is, like you mentioned, to get volunteers, I'm sure it's not any easier. It doesn't help that where they would come to volunteer has, more than 50% been condemned.
Right. That's the other thing. I mean, who wants to come into that? Who wants to come into black mold and a building that's collapsing from the rear? And I mean, we're pretty lucky. We do have nice equipment. It's a little older, but it's in really good shape, so that helps a little bit. So moving forward into this new building, I'm hoping that I'm sure we'll get some sort of influx of volunteers. I'm more of a quality over quantity type of guy, but at this point, I'll take what I can get and kind of weed out the bad.
Doug Stanley has done the show, with me for years up until, of course, recently. And we always, before we finished with the show, talked about the fire station. So he would normally give me an update on this is where we are on construction. And he walked me through the bid process, all of that sort of stuff. So where are you right now going into the first week of October as far as move-in ready or construction goes?
We're a little behind. Just punch list items at this point, little things here and there. Landscapers are out there. They're still painting stuff that needs to be done on the exterior, trim and flashing, stuff like that. The biggest thing is the career staff. The county got a grant from FEMA 2 weeks ago, a $1.2 million grant, which supplies the 24-hour staffing for our department, which was huge for us because going in, we were unsure if we were going to have career staff, if it's going to be this $5.6 million building with 10 volunteers. We weren't sure. So having that 24-hour coverage is going to be huge for us. But with that, the way the grant is worded, they have to go through a recruit school. So getting these new hires on, it's going to take a little bit of a process to do that. So we're looking at probably the end of November before move-in, but no later than the first part of December.
Which is good because typically that's when it starts getting really, really cold and you don't really have any way to stay warm even if you're at the old station.
Well, we have heat, but it's, it's an old oil furnace that heats the bays and then like a little wall heater in the other part of the building that's, you turn it off before you leave so you don't, burn anything down.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
Yeah.
Walk me through the new station. I mean, I've heard you tell me about some of the things that, just are basics, I would think, to most people, but you guys really are excited about them because they are upgrades to you.
Well, I mean, a place where we can sleep, to provide coverage to the community. We don't have that now because you can't sleep in this mold infested collapsing building. So, I mean, that's one of the biggest things for us. Being able to fundraise with this banquet hall is huge for us. And we have to build ourselves back up because we went from, having all this stuff to going into this new building. We don't have decent stuff anymore. Our tables and chairs are the old metal folding chairs. And, it's just, if you're coming to a wedding reception, you don't want to sit in a metal folding chair. You want, a decent chair with padding and all that stuff. So we didn't realize how much that type of stuff cost until, you actually start having to buy it. So tables and chairs alone, you're looking at like $6,500. The PA system is like $3,000, and this is stuff that falls back on us. This isn't the county buying it. I mean, this is coming out of our pocket. We've been setting money aside for the last couple years, preparing to go into this. So we had a little bit of spending money, but I mean, the banquet hall, place to sleep. There's offices, there's conference rooms. We're going to have a full service gym, locker rooms, a shower. We haven't had a shower in 6 years. So, I mean, that's, you come back from a nasty call, at least you have a place to wash.
That's important too, because I've sat through seminars and webinars as part of my volunteer duties with the fire marshal and with chief and things like that. It is really important for firefighters when they come back from a fire to be able to wash the smoke and the ash and the debris off of themselves because, those things cause illness. They cause cancer. You guys really do need to have the ability to do that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, cancer is the biggest thing. The county's implemented different types of procedures over the last couple of years where you're on a call with a structure fire and you come out and, you're wiping yourself down with these wipes just to get it off of your skin because you're sweating, you're hot, your pores are open, everything's just, going right into you. So the fact that we'll have a washing machine, a washer and dryer, For your personal clothes, bed linen, stuff like that, we're working on getting the commercial equipment for the fire gear itself that extracts all that stuff out of there.
That stuff is heavy. I mean, I've put on your assistant chief coat and it must weigh 20 or 30 pounds. You can't throw that kind of stuff into a regular washing machine.
It would beat it and make your wash machine walk down the hallway. But right now, our turnout gear is sitting right next to the fire truck in the bay on a wooden shelf. Diesel exhaust, huge. You light up, you turn on a fire truck inside of a building, that diesel exhaust is going somewhere. And if you don't have the right ventilation, it's staying in that building. It's attaching itself to those clothes and everything. With the new building, we have a separate room with its own ventilation system closed off from the bays. The NFPA requires a lot when you're building a fire station. People don't realize that. It's not just a metal building. There's more to it because of NFPA standards. So that was huge for us too, just in the exhaust system alone. The new exhaust system, you get in the truck, you turn it on, there's 5 units in the bays that start pulling out, bad stuff with filters and stuff. And then there's a big exhaust fan that pushes it out the doors. We don't have that right now. The one wall in our current building is black from the smokestack of an old fire truck that just, you turned it on and it blew soot on the wall. So the whole wall is still, it's still black from years of, exhaust. So it's little things that are huge to us that may not seem, huge to other people.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more because you mentioned this a second ago about fundraising, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you as a department are responsible for and why fundraising is so important and what role this new building is going to play in your ability to do more fundraising. Can we do that in the next segment?
Yep.
All right, we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. We are having a conversation today on the Zoom screen with Joe Woodall. He is the Assistant Chief at Rivermont Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department. This is The Valley Today. I'm Janet Michael. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Do you know anyone who is struggling with financial hardships because of coronavirus? Our new webinar called Coping with the Money Crunch can help. We'll talk about immediate options to consider, revising or creating a spending plan, and lots of community resources. Then we'll cover how to narrow your priorities, contact creditors, and avoid scams and risky loans. The webinar is free, and you can either join by phone or through Zoom on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can find out more by visiting the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program on Facebook or calling Karen Poff at 540-635-4549. Let me show you how to make your own plan or help someone you care about get through the crisis. Call 635-4549 or visit at NSV Financial Education on Facebook today.
Welcome back to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are pre-recording our conversation today with Joe Woodall over Zoom. He is the Assistant Chief at Rivermont Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department. That's the one hat that he's wearing. His other hat is that he is an alum of the River 95.3. He is one of my dearest friends, one of my oldest and dearest friends. And Joe, I'm really happy that we're able to have this conversation today about the status of the new fire station, because I know this has been near and dear to your heart. I mean, I talk about it being near and dear to my heart on the air, and you're not even coming to my house if it catches on fire. So I can't imagine you on the front lines, what this must mean to you to have this new, safe, and so much more usable building.
It's huge for all of us. I mean, I've only been at Rivermont since 2014, but I spent 12 years at another department in the county. I took over this project. I don't want to say took over because I've had help, along the way, but I kind of spearheaded it about 2.5 years ago is when I started, going to these meetings and board of supervisors meetings, and it's been nonstop since. I mean, it's been furniture and carpet, tile and paint color, and there's little things. And I'm just like, I just want it done. So for everybody at our volunteer organization, it's huge. It's huge for the county as well. I mean, they're building a building that's expected to be there for 50 years. The last fire station they built was in 2002, I think, with North Warren. And a couple weeks after opening, it collapsed because it wasn't built right, and they have to rebuild it. So they learned a lot doing that, putting in residential doors and stuff like that. it's a fire department. It's going to take a beating. So the door frames are, steel doors. You don't have these hollow core wooden doors. People see 5.6 million, they freak out. But if you think about it, over 50 years, it's really not that bad.
So have you been having conversations with some of the other firefighters and EMTs at Rivermont? What are some of the things that they're telling you they're most looking forward to getting into the new building?
Everybody wants to have a little say in it. They want to have a little part in it. So we once a month, we try to get together and, we'll tell them this is where we're at. This is where we're, this is what we're looking at. And they'll give their input, if they think it's a good idea, bad idea. We're a little limited because it's a county building. It's technically their building, so we can't go in there and demand a bunch of stuff. Ethically, that's not right. At least to me, it's not right. But there are a few things like the banquet hall. We're paying for that. The county's paying for the structure itself, but we're paying for the finishing aspects of the banquet hall, the drywall, the flooring, the drop ceiling, the commercial kitchen equipment, all that stuff. The deal was it fell back on us originally. We're paying for this, so we want the input on, what it's going to look like.
Those things are important to you too, because you guys do need to fundraise. We talked about that in the first segment. Fundraising is important because just because the county built this building for you doesn't mean you have no other expenses. There are still things that you have to pay. You have to buy your own equipment in a lot of cases. Tell me what fundraising does for the fire station.
Yeah, people don't realize how much a fire truck costs. If I were to ask you, how much do you think a fire truck costs?
Well, you can't ask me because I know how much they cost, because you and I have had that conversation.
Even 100, 200, 300,000, you can't do that anymore. Our current engine is a 2009, so it's 11 years old. It was purchased with a 13-year note on it, and we're paying $3,200 a month.
Wow.
For that. Now, the price of a fire truck now compared to 11 years ago has doubled. The same truck would cost us $620,000, $650,000. We're in the process of building a new tanker, looking at building a new tanker, getting ideas and specs and how much it's going to cost, and just a basic bare bones cab that holds 6 people, 2,500 gallons of water, some compartment space. You're looking at $680,000. And that's one of the cheapest quotes we got. Some of the more expensive ones were $715,000, $720,000. Front Royal just spent $1.5 million on 2 new trucks. So fundraising it's huge for us. We pay for that. We don't have the county or anybody to fall back on for that. That falls back on us. Luckily, the county handles most of the ambulance stuff, so we don't really have to worry about general maintenance and all that stuff. The county handles all that as part of their program, where they replace ambulances every 8 to 10 years, depending on how often they break down or how often they're out running calls. Because Front Royal, obviously being a busier department, is going to get newer ambulances every few years. But yeah, being able to fundraise, and that's just equipment wise. We're moving from 2,500 square foot to 15,000 square foot. So there's 3 2,000 gallon propane tanks sitting out back that has to be filled. So we're looking at $20,000 just to fill the propane tanks. And then you got to keep them up. And then electric, going from 1 room and 4 bays to this, giant building. Granted, it's considered energy efficient with all LED lights and all that stuff. So it's not going to be as expensive on that front, but you're, more rooms, more lights, outside lights, parking lot lights, all that's tied into this. So we have, we're paying $200 a month for an electric bill, say. Now we're going to be going to, we're not really sure. We're kind of going into an unknown, and going in wintertime with, the heat, everything is propane. All the heat is propane. So we don't know. There's a lot of aspects we don't know yet. So we want to kind of jump in and get fundraising going like right away, because we don't know. So I think our first fundraiser in the banquet hall is going to be breakfast with Santa. We used to do that every year at the old building. It was huge for us. It wasn't a huge money maker, but community-wise, it was huge. The kids is something the kids look forward to, and we haven't done it in 6 years. So I think that's the first big fundraiser we're going to go into. And then we have a few other ones planned out, and then also just renting the hall out itself for wedding receptions and banquets and, whatever else we need it for.
And I think that's the thing that sometimes people don't understand either is you have your fundraisers like your Breakfast with Santa. We've all seen the boot drives, all of these types of events that the fire station puts on as what we consider a traditional fundraiser. But people can help and be part of the fundraising experience by booking that banquet room for a rehearsal dinner, for a wedding reception, for a 50th anniversary party, for things like that. That is still considered fundraising for you guys as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to rent a hall, and there's not very many places in this area to do it. Granted, ours isn't as big as some of the other ones. We can fit 169 people, I think, is what the banquet hall sits, and that's going to be kind of tight. But wedding receptions, normal size wedding reception, you're looking at 100, 120 people.
Well, and in the age of COVID, people are looking at 50 to 75 people. So this is perfect for you.
And that's the other thing. I mean, we don't know where this is going to be. Even a month from now, we don't know where it's going to be. We're against the wall and, trying to figure everything out. And we're going into the unknown. But people we have at Rivermont they're great. We all get along. It's a solid core group of people, but we need more, especially when it comes to fundraising. I mean, people think, just volunteering at a firehouse is running out on fire calls and ambulance calls. It's not. I mean, there's a lot of back end stuff that needs to be done too. Just running these fundraisers alone, that falls back on us. So if we get a call in the middle of this fundraiser, some of us has to leave, which puts the load on other people. So my goal is Rivermont used to have a ladies auxiliary, and they would run the bingos, they would run the breakfasts, stuff like that. My goal is to get that back. If I can find one core person to kind of spearhead that and take off with it, and then kind of build from there, with their friends and then their friends, and just kind of build back what we had, 10 years ago. That's the ultimate goal.
And this doesn't have to be somebody who necessarily lives within your service area at Rivermont that could participate in this ladies auxiliary. For example, I could say, hey, I want to help somehow, whether it's helping you with your social media or making phone calls for fundraisers. People from anywhere can participate if they really believe in your station.
Yeah, we have different, I don't want to say levels of membership, but there's different, you can be an operational member. You can run the calls, you can do the trainings, you can do all that stuff. There's administrative where you can do, the fundraising and, collect the money when people come in the door, help clean up, set up, work the kitchen during these events, where you're frying bacon or, whatever.
Flipping pancakes.
And then planning too. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas out there for fundraising. But when you only have 3 people thinking of them, but if you get more minds involved, it kind of helps. And then we have like a junior membership status too. So if you're 14 years old and you want to, think about getting into the fire service, you can join as a junior member and learn the trucks, learn the apparatus for running calls, help with the fundraisers. Because you can't go out on the calls till you're 16, but you can help with setup and, all that stuff. So, that's what I did. I started as, when I was 16 years old, and I kind of built myself up. So I would like to get into the high schools to try and talk to younger kids to, try to get them more involved. The biggest thing is, they'll join at 16, but at 18, they're graduating and they're going to college or they're going in the military or something like that. So it's kind of hit and miss when you come to high school kids. But, if I can get one person to spearhead fundraising, it would just help a ton. So if anybody out there wants to help.
Well, so that's my next question. If somebody's listening and they're like, well, I don't know what I can do, but I want to do something, how do they reach out to you? Do you guys have a Facebook page? What is the best way to reach out?
Facebook is the biggest one right now. We're working on a website. It's slow going, but we're eventually
sorry
going to
about
get there.
that. That's why I said Facebook, because I know you and I haven't worked on the website yet.
It's life, man. Life happens. So yeah, I think Facebook is the biggest one. Our number's out there too. If they have any questions, they call us. They can call the county office, the fire administration office, and the ladies up there will point them in the right direction as well.
And you mentioned, I know we have to wrap up, but you mentioned at the top of the show that you're looking at potentially being in the building near the end of November. I'm assuming you'll have like a community meet and greet or a ribbon cutting of some sort. Will you put all of that on your Facebook page too, so people will know when that's happening?
Yes, that's the ultimate plan, but COVID pending and what we can and can't do. But yeah, we want people to come in and look at it. I mean, they're the ones that paid for this, or continuing to pay for this. So yeah, we're going to set up some sort of open house so they can come in and look.
And at some point, you and I will get together with a video camera, and we'll at least do a Facebook Live on the station's page or on Rivermont's page and do a walkthrough, even if it turns out that people can't come out right away.
Right. Yeah, and we'll get with Jerry, and we can set that up once. There's the whole punch list item.
Do we have to include Jerry? Really? Does Jerry have to be a part of this?
I guess we don't have to. We get Chief involved before he retires.
Well, Joe, thank you for taking some time today and sliding into a slot that got rescheduled at the last minute. I can always count on you in the case of an emergency to come through. I guess that's what makes you a great assistant chief.
I guess I'm sitting in a closet right now, like with a webcam, like acting like a creeper at work, but we got it done.
We did get it done. And tomorrow I'm going to be back. I'm going to have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you. Today we were talking with Joe Woodall. He is the Assistant Chief at Rivermont Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department. You can find them on Facebook, and I'll put the links to everything in the show notes page. Meet me back here tomorrow just a few minutes after noon. I'll have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you.